1, 2. All right, everybody, it's 12:01, getting us going here on this Thursday afternoon. The rain has been relentless. That's a live look at the radar. We've got Category 2 Hurricane Helene that's continuing to strengthen. Could become a Category 3 hurricane before making landfall over the next 24 hours. And all that river of rain continues to swing its way up into Georgia, Florida, of course, South Carolina, North Carolina, and right here in East Tennessee. The interstate is a mess. It is waterlogged. So do travel safely. Give yourself plenty of extra time wherever you may be traveling to. And we have rain showers showing up in Union County here at this hour as well. Wanted to jump in here and give you the latest weather information. We do have some major flooding potential that's going to go on along with some of the rivers here around town. I think that goes without saying, but I'll give you the latest information. We're going to be talking about the Fujiwara effect and what that means and what this storm system's doing, because it's a rare phenomena in meteorology that's actually going to be taking place right on top of us due to a couple of areas of low pressure. So we're going to be highlighting that coming up here in just a few minutes as well. We do have a lot to talk about. We've got a lot of watches, got a lot of warnings that we will continue to talk about here as we head through the rest of our Thursday. We are still far from over. I've had reports of over 7 inches of rain in some locations, and some folks are talking about the docks. If you have boats at some of the docks here around town, that the lake levels are rising, you might want to call the marina and find out what that means for your boat. Of course, the docks do float and they do rise and fall, but something to kind of keep in mind. All right, let's go ahead and take you to the forecast. Let's talk about the Fujiwara effect for just a moment of time. It's a rare phenomenon, but it is taking shape here over the next 2 to 3 days. It's basically when 2 nearby cyclones or low-pressure systems, i.e. a hurricane and an upper-level low that's been spinning off across West Tennessee, they will kind of combine their efforts, and one of these storms is going to get absorbed into the other. Watch as this all plays out. Here comes the hurricane moving its way up through Florida, and our low-pressure system is just going to kind of suck this system up into it, and then it's just going to kind of linger. So we're going to have an upper-level low that's going to be lingering across the area all the way through the weekend. Does that mean that we're going to be dealing with this kind of rainfall all the way through the weekend? No, not one single bit. But will it be unsettled and will it be cooler? Yes, I do anticipate the rain to slowly subside here as we get into our Friday night and into our Saturday as well. All right, here's the latest information from the National Hurricane Center. We have winds sustained at 105, gusting to 125 miles per hour. The storm is actually moving to the northeast at 14 miles per hour. Our next update from the National Hurricane Center will be at 4 o'clock today, at which point we could have a Category 3 hurricane on our hands barreling down across the Big Bend of Florida. The latest track from the National Hurricane Center, we have a Cat 2 right now. Again, could be a Cat 3 later on this evening as it nears the Florida coastline. This is not great news. And depending on the strength of this storm system, I've been trying to answer as many questions on social media as I possibly can. Depending on the strength of landfall with Helene, really depends on the general effects of how it's going to play out for us. If it weakens before it makes landfall, we're going to have lighter winds, air quotes. We're going to have a little bit less of an effect of the wind as it makes its way into the Appalachian region. But if it makes landfall as a Category 3, we are still talking about some extreme winds to be moving its way into East Tennessee overnight tonight and through the first part of our day tomorrow. All right, so here we go. Hurricane and tropical storm warnings are extended all the way across the southeastern U.S., and that does include tropical storm warnings over into North Carolina. We've got widespread flood watches, but of course, flash flood warnings and flood warnings that are ongoing as the rivers continue to rise. And you can really see what I'm talking about with the winds. Let me go back to this other map here for just a second. You can see what I'm talking about with these winds. Watch the winds come racing up across the southeastern U.S. So for us, the wind will increase overnight tonight into the sunrise hour, but should start to weaken, I think, a little bit as we get past lunchtime tomorrow. It all kind of depends on the track and the strength of this system. So the wind could be lingering a little bit longer tomorrow afternoon. Either way you slice it and dice it, it is going to be a rather windy and gusty day. Now you have a saturated ground with over 7 inches of rain in some locations, and this is going to be not a good thing. This is insult to injury where we are going to likely see major power outages around East Tennessee. So always a good idea before you head off to bed tonight, get everything charged up, your cell phones, your laptops, your computers, whatever it may be, just to be on the safe side. But again, I am anticipating widespread wind damage, which would take trees down and create power outages. So high wind watch is in effect all the way through Friday afternoon. Winds sustained in the valley will be about 20 to 30, but gusting to 50 plus. Okay, the higher elevations have now been added to a high wind warning where they're talking about sustained winds 30 to 40 plus and gusts up to 70 to 80 miles per hour. Again, this is all subject to change depending on the strength of landfall with this system. So when you add it all up and you tie it all into a nice little package, we've got high wind watches, high wind warnings, and tropical storm warnings over into North Carolina. And that extends all the way a little bit further to our south as well. By the way, make sure you jump in on the chat and let me know exactly what's going on. See if the chat's going to be working here. It is. All right. So we've got a lot of wind heading our way. The rain is still far from over. So as we break it down here locally, you can see the flood warnings of the polygons. We do have had flash flood warnings as well, but those have been mitigated here at this time. So flood warnings are ongoing across Upper East Tennessee and the mountain counties with widespread flood watches that do encompass the entire state. So travel's not advised. Here's the storm as it races its way out of the Gulf of Mexico. Tropical storm strength possibly as it makes its way into the Tennessee Valley, and then just kind of a lingering low-pressure system before it finally kicks its way on out of here. Now, as I said, the Fujiwara effect, sometimes these systems will just kind of dance around each other. Based on the latest model guidance, looks like the hurricane will get absorbed into the main system, but the main upper level low looks to be lingering for most of the weekend. And upper level lows are weatherman's woes. They're hard to forecast. They're hard to predict. They're hard to really get specific details on it. I just do anticipate that we will have scattered showers over the weekend. We will have mostly cloudy skies. The wind will start to relax as we get into our Saturday and Sunday timeframe. When you look at the rainfall amounts over the last 2 days, they have been incredible. And no wonder we have flood warnings that are ongoing across Upper East Tennessee. Places like Pigeon Forge, Dandridge, Newport, Morristown, Rogersville, and Greenville, anywhere from 4, 5, 6, 7 plus inches of rainfall already. And some of you may be joining across the Western Valley and the Cumberland Plateau and the Southern Valley going, wait a second here. What is going on? It's a tale of two stories. Incredible rain across Upper East Tennessee and the Central Valley to not much so far. But as I mentioned, it's not totally over yet. So let me just throw this out there. You don't want the rain at this point of the game across the Southern Valley because with the wind, the approaching wind that's heading our way, you don't need a saturated ground like what we have ongoing across Upper East Tennessee. But this graphic right here just tells the story. Now, with that said, I'm going to hit some rivers that we're talking about because this is a major change that I was talking about from earlier this morning. The Pigeon River at Newport. So Newport in Cott County, we've got the Pigeon River and we also have the French Broad. And a lot of times when we get an abundance of rainfall, they will overflow their banks. Now, this morning I was talking about the Pigeon River at Newport going to it was going to be near major flood stage. Well, that has drastically changed. Now we're talking about soaring over flood stage. Major flood stage is 12 feet. And the forecast right now that goes all the way through 8 o'clock Friday night is 18 feet. That is 6 feet above major flood stage. This is not good news. Now we go over to the French Broad River in Newport. So now they're forecasting major flood stage with this one as well, which earlier this morning it was not. It was going to be in minor to moderate flooding. But now the current stage is 9 feet. So now we're in the action stage. We will get into the minor to moderate flood stage, likely through the overnight hours. And as we get into Saturday morning, 2 a.m., so Friday night, Saturday morning, that's when we could be having a major flood. 23 feet is the forecast, which puts it 3 feet over the major flood stage. But we don't stop there. We've got the Nolichucky River, and that current stage is now 8.91 feet. The forecast is 15.5, with moderate flood stage being at 16 feet. And we also have the Clinch River above Tazewell. Current, 6.34 feet, but it forecasted to be into the minor, close to moderate flood stage come tomorrow night. So those are some of the major rivers that are expected to flood at this stage of the game. Some of the other rivers around East Tennessee, not so much so far, but definitely subject to change. And so you'll want to check back in for more updates. Please like and share everything you see on social media for community awareness. It really helps populate the social media platform so everybody can see, because you only see 10% of what I post on social media unless you come straight to my platform. All right, let's go ahead and pick up the timeline here. Not at 7 o'clock this morning. We're well past that. We're past the lunch hour. But let's go past the lunch hour now as the rain continues to fill on in. And as I said, the Western Valley and the Cumberland Plateau, you're not out of the woods yet because this whole system is going to throw a bunch of rain your way as we get into the afternoon and into the evening hour. So everybody's getting soaked as we get into the evening rush hour, dinner, and bedtime tonight. Just through the end of the day today, we're looking at an additional 1 to 2 plus inches of rainfall from the Central Valley to Upper East Tennessee. That's on top of the rain that we've already seen. Maybe another 1/4 of an inch to a 1/2 inch for you folks on the plateau. So you're going to start to see the rain pile up a little bit more, but it's going to continue overnight tonight. So 7 o'clock here tonight, we'll run you through the overnight hours, and you'll see the rain's going to continue to be thrown into our area. Moderate to heavy rainfall all night long. All night. So again, you add up the rainfall just through the overnight hours into tomorrow afternoon, as the rain should slowly subside as we get past lunchtime tomorrow and into the afternoon hours. So it is going to be much quieter, but it's not going to be quiet necessarily because the wind is going to be howling, and we'll talk more about the wind coming up here in a second. So you take the rest of today, overnight tonight, and all day tomorrow, we are looking at an additional 2, 3, to maybe even 4 to 5 more inches of rainfall. And again, notice the dark shades of reds and purples across the higher elevations. That's where we could see an additional 3 to 6 inches of rainfall from now through tomorrow night. All that water has to go somewhere, and it comes down the mountains. It comes into the streams and rivers and lakes, and that's why the lakes and stuff will start to pile up as well. Of course, the lakes have been way down, so this is good news. They can withstand some of this rain, but not all of it, right? And TVA has been talking about how they're going to have to start to let some of this water out. But it's nice that the lake levels were really low leading into this event. High temperatures here as we wrap up the week are going to be in the 70s. Okay, so we're going to stay in the 70s to near 80 degrees for the next 7 days. All right, let's pick up our timeline again Friday morning. And again, through the day on Friday, as I mentioned, the onset of rain will continue to slowly diminish, I think, as we get past the lunch hour, but the wind is not. So grand totals, again, all the way through tomorrow night, an additional 2 to 3 plus inches of rainfall. Now let's talk about the wind here for a second, because the wind's going to be cranking. We pick up our timeline tonight at 7 o'clock, and watch how this wind field really starts to expand. So it's going to get windy as we get into the 10 to midnight hour tonight, but that's not the extent of it. The wind is really going to start cranking 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 o'clock tomorrow morning as we get the morning rush hour started, as maybe kids are going off to school. I know that's the talk about town. If you have kids, are the kids going to school? I don't make that call, but I'd go out on a limb and say a lot of schools are going to be probably canceled due to the rain, the flooding, and the wind that's going to lead to localized power outages. So just by 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we are talking about sustained winds 20 to 30 in the valley, gusts up to 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour, and even higher winds expected across the higher elevations of the mountains. At times, we're talking 60, 70, even 80 mile per hour winds across the highest peaks of the Smokies. So everybody's getting soaked today and tomorrow. The rain starts to fade, but can't totally take it out of the forecast as we get into the weekend. I think as we get into next week, we'll start to take some of those rain chances out, and temperatures will stay fairly average, or if not below average, over the next 5 to 7 days. For those of you that don't have the East Tennessee Weather app, it's a great tool to have in your back pocket, in your purse. We all have cell phones. Listen, this is a 100% free app. I update it at least 3 times a day during inclement weather, sometimes more, or you can join me on social. But this is your one-stop shop for weather right here in East Tennessee. If you open up the app, this is what it's going to look like, okay? So I do my daily forecast weather updates 3 times a day, typically on most weeks. We've got the interactive radar, which is a great tool. And again, I am broadcasting live right there. When you look at the live 24/7 weather channel, that is where I'm broadcasting live, along with Roku TV, Amazon Fire, YouTube, the website, the app, and 2 social media platforms, both Facebook pages, Mike Witcher TV, and the East Tennessee Weather Facebook page. The interactive radar is going to be a great tool because it gives you everything you need to know. When you look at the big picture, it has everything that you need to know on it. But it's not just that. It's going to give you current, past, and future radar of 2 hours. So as we loop it, there's your past 2 hours. It will pause at the current hour, and it's got to load here. And it will go into a future cast of 2 hours. Let's see if we can get it to load here at this moment. There's the past, there's current. Okay, it's not going to load. My computers are bogged down right now. It will work on your cell phone by all means. I've just got a lot of information coming into these computers right now. But the interactive radar is going to be a great tool. And it will give you any watches, warnings, or from the National Weather Service. So if you happen to be in a flood-prone area, the National Weather Service issues a flash flood warning. It'll notify you about the flash flood warning. It'll notify you about the storm. And, of course, you can also track the hurricane because it does do National Hurricane Center information. All right, that's what's going on out there right now. It is a soggy mess for sure. I want to take you back outside. Continue to fill up. All right, so let's go to the chat and see if anybody has any questions. If you have anything specifically for me, I'll try to answer as many questions as I possibly can. I'm not going to stay on here forever. I do have weather updates on eastnweather.com, but make sure that you stay on top of the latest weather forecast. All right, let's see where are we at on the chat. So Eli, getting video for you now as I type this. Alexander Creek at JC Park in Churchill is close to coming out of its banks and taking over a couple of pedestrian bridges in the park. Thank you, Eli. And once I get that, if you email that to me, let me know when it gets here, and I'll try to bring that up on the broadcast as soon as I can. Let's see. You're welcome, Eva. Good afternoon, Ruth and Jerry. Let's see. You're welcome, Kenny. Vloggins. We've got Lisa. I do not. I have not done that in a very long time, Lisa. Not since I've started this business. All right, so schools are going to be closing in Cott County at 1:30 here this afternoon. I agree, Tom. With the lakes as low as they've been, I think they'll be able to absorb a lot of this water, but I've heard that TVA is needing to start to spill some of this. But we also have to mitigate what's going on downstream, and they are on top of it like nobody's business. Hey, Stephanie's joining us from Teleco. The drought will be cured. Well, unfortunately, we got too much of a good thing, right? We need the drought was creeping in like nobody's business, and it's nice that we're getting some solid, steady rainfall. Now, this would have been a totally different story had we not had the intense rain over the last 2 days associated with a stalled out cold front, which is essentially what's bringing us the rainfall. Just got this river of moisture moving its way on through. But we're not necessarily seeing directly the effects of the hurricane so far. But we will, with the rain impending overnight tonight and through the first half of our day tomorrow, and, of course, the wind. Jefferson County is closed tomorrow. Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that. You're welcome, Tammy. How's Roane County going to be? Roane County is going to continue to see the rain fill in. You're not seeing, you're starting to see a little bit of rain, some steadier showers, but Roane County, you're in for an additional maybe 2 to 3+ inches of rainfall before all is said and done. But great question, Madison. That was from Madison, by the way. So should Saturday be super windy, or is that just going to be Friday? That's just going to be Friday, but I do think it's going to be extra breezy, or rather gusty at times on Saturday, but nothing like what we're going to see overnight tonight and for the first part of our Friday. That's the main event when it comes to wind. And I think that, depending on what happens then, really depends on what happens with the power outages and really what's going to progress from here on out. I had a question on social media earlier that I answered that said, if this storm system weakens before it makes landfall, is that going to play a different role for us here in East Tennessee? And the answer is yes. If it strengthens right now, it could be a category, a strong 2, or I hate to use the word weak, but when you're using different categories, because they're all strong, right? You're talking about a hurricane, but a strong 2 or a weak 3 will play a huge role on how the winds are played out here in East Tennessee. If it quickly dies down before it makes landfall to a Cat 1, for instance, then the winds aren't going to be nearly as strong. And we wouldn't deal as much with the power outages. So these are things that we will continue to monitor and check in on, and we'll give you updates. I will be back live at 6 o'clock here tonight for another live weather update to get an idea of how the river levels are going, what's going on around town, how's the hurricane doing, what's the latest out from the National Hurricane Center and the National Weather Service. So make sure you set your clocks. I'll send push alerts, but we will be doing a live broadcast at 6 o'clock here tonight on all East Tennessee weather platforms. Is Dandridge okay? Like the lake, like Douglas Lake? Douglas Lake is rising. Dandridge, I think, so far is good, but again, we're not out of the woods here yet. We're not out of the woods. So even if you don't have major effects in your area right now, let's hope that it stays that way. But it may not stay that way as this storm continues to barrel its way along the coastal areas and up the Appalachian region. Pat says, it's rained most of the day in La Follette, but nothing heavy. Thanks for keeping us informed and safe. You're welcome. Michelle, do you know how Dollywood is holding up? I saw a post earlier from Dollywood. I believe that they were closing the park. Here, I will find out for you because I saw something come down from Dollywood. And Dollywood is closed today, apparently. So Dollywood is closed. And park update. Okay, so important notice. The National Weather Service has indicated that Hurricane Helene is projected to affect our area over the next few days. As a precaution and for the safety of our hosts and guests, Dollywood Theme Park will be closed today, Thursday, September 26th. Dollywood's Dreammore Resort and Spa and Dollywood's Heartsong Lodge and Resort will remain open to accommodate current guests. So that's all we have right now. So they are currently closed today, but may reopen tomorrow. Maybe not. They may take another day and just kind of burn another day. I don't know. But you can follow them on social media. Will this bring storms or just a lot of rain? Just a lot of rain. We don't have the instability. It's a warm core system. Okay, so now the air is warmer aloft, and that creates efficient rain producers. And so the warmer the air is aloft, the heavier, the more moisture the air can hold. So the more efficient or the heavier the rain can be. And we lose a lot of that instability, if you will, for thunderstorms and other severe weather. So we're not looking at hail. We're not looking at, we have hardly had any lightning today. So probably not going to see a whole lot of lightning associated with this whole system. I think it's just going to be incredible amounts of water. But good question, Amanda. Any trajectory changes that may have big impacts on us? Not yet, Chris. Not yet. It is curving a little bit further to the west, which could be a little bit of a concern because the further west it goes, it may put us into an area with tropical cyclones and tropical systems. The southeastern side of that system, you get this huge fetch of moisture coming up through, and that's where we typically get the tornadoes down in Florida and any landfalling hurricane. It's on the southeastern side. So the further west this may track, and there are still quite a bit of unknowns, the further west, the better chance that we may have that potential anyways. But I wanted to go back to this Fujiwara effect because this kind of explains what I'm talking about. And I'm going to slow this down for you because here comes the storm, right? We've got two low pressure systems. We've got our upper level low that has been bringing us the unsettled weather over the last couple of days. Now we've got another low pressure system, i.e. a hurricane, that's going to swing its way on through. So I actually don't think that it's going to be able to go too much further west. And the reason why is because it's upper level low. It's going to grab it and swing it right there between Nashville and Knoxville, I would say, is going to be the best bet. See how it's going to be grabbing it? And so that they will kind of dance around each other, if you will. And so that's going to keep it from moving, I think, much further west than it's already being projected. And it all depends on the strength of this upper level low, which is pretty strong anyways. And then that upper level low looks to absorb the hurricane itself and that low pressure system. But notice it's just going to be lingering around the area. And let me change this timeline here for a second. I'll take you all the way through next Tuesday because we can. So here's the system, right? And that storm. And then it starts. Now, don't worry about the low pressure system. I've not been able to edit that. We'll just take it off for now. We'll just take that off for now so you can see what I'm talking about. So again, there's the storm, and so it's going to linger, but eventually it gets ejected. So I would say by the 29th, it starts to move its way through the area, starting to bring us more northerly winds. And then eventually, as we get into, I set that time stamp to Tuesday. So by next Tuesday, it's a thing of the past, and it's all gone. But that is the point of this, is that I think it's going to linger through the weekend, and that's going to bring us the rain. So, Chris, to answer your question, I don't think it's going to be able to move much further west than it currently is because of that upper level low that's just going to spin it, because you get counterclockwise rotation around both of these systems, right? And so if that were a high pressure ridge, then that would grab the storm and move it west, way west of us. But it's a low pressure, because high pressure, you get clockwise rotation. So that would be our steering winds with that storm. Great question, though. Try to answer them as best I can. Let's see. Are we going to be getting any severe thunderstorms in Knoxville, Tanya? No, I don't think we will. Always subject to change, and I'll keep you posted. But no, we're not looking at that kind of a system. It's a warm chord system, so I don't think they just produce efficient. They are efficient rain producers, which we've clearly already seen. Anyways, all right, here we go. What other questions do we have? Do you think that we are done with the heat for this year? I do. I don't think necessarily that we're going to have the extreme heat. Now, we may trend above average, but you got to realize here in just a few days, at the end of the month, our average high is only 78 degrees. So are we done with the 90s? Likely the case, yes. Are we done with 100% with the 80s? I don't think so. I don't think we're done with the 80s yet, but I don't think we'll have any more 90s. So the extreme heat, I think, is going to be done. Let's see. We got Jeannie says 7.5 inches at her house in Rogersville over the last few days as of 9 o'clock this morning, and likely to have a lot more at this time since you measured it this morning. Nope. Generator is supposed to be fully installed by Saturday morning, not tomorrow. And as I mentioned on the morning broadcast this morning, I am getting a whole home generator installed thanks to City Heat and Air. And they're going to finish the install on Saturday. Unfortunately, we are where we are. If we end up with power outages, I will lose power. Now, the East Tennessee Weather app will still be working, okay? The East Tennessee Weather app will still work. I just won't be able to broadcast here from the studio. But with that said, that doesn't necessarily mean that I won't be able to broadcast at all, because as many of you have seen on the platforms, I can go anywhere in the world and still broadcast for us here in East Tennessee from my laptop. So if I were to lose power, I will go find a coffee shop or somewhere around town who has power, and I will still get the broadcast going. So all East Tennessee weather platforms will be updated as efficiently and effectively as I possibly can. But I would imagine I will lose power. And again, getting a whole home generator for the house and the studio. Again, City Heat and Air is doing that for us. Thank you to them. If you are interested in something like that, you can message me, mike@easttnweather.com. I can give you the contact to City Heat and Air, as they have been great to work with. But it's a process. It is a big process to get a whole home generator installed. National Hurricane Center does expect significant strengthening. It does not appear to be weakening, and the latest model guidance has it as a strong Cat 2 to Cat 3 making landfall. So not good news there. When you do the 6 p.m. live, you can give me the future cast for around 6 a.m. tomorrow, pretty please. I can do that right now. How about that, Brandy? You don't have to wait until 6 o'clock tonight. Now we'll have more updated information tonight at 6 o'clock. But let's go to tomorrow morning. So here's tomorrow morning for Brandy. So it's going to be a waterlogged mess, and it's going to be a very windy mess. And I would just say, I'm not one to discourage people from doing what they need to do in their daily lives, but I would say, listen, if you don't have to work, or if you have the capabilities of working from home, which some of you probably will be anyways because your kids are going to be out of school, I would say, hey, just call the boss and say, listen, let me just stay home. We'll call it a 3-day weekend, or I can work from home or whatever. But it's not going to be very good tomorrow morning. We're going to talk about like the soaking rains that we've been dealing with all day today, and then combine that with winds up to gusting to 50 miles per hour or greater. So now you've got wind-driven rain and that's going to really slow people down if anybody has to travel out and about tomorrow morning. Winds around Camp Creek are not going to be good. Camp Creek always gets some very strong winds, and that's where some of the strongest winds will occur. So, Abigail, if you live around Camp Creek, prepare for some up to 80-mile-per-hour winds in your area. That's what I would prepare for. So hunker down, lock everything down, bring everything inside that could get blown around. If you have a trampoline's going to be tossed ashore if we end up getting these kinds of winds. Great question. Kind of a little bit of both. It's not directly from the hurricane, but kind of indirectly from the hurricane as we're getting moisture scooped up from the Gulf and the Atlantic and thrown into our direction, thanks to all the processes happening in the atmosphere. So yes, and the answer is yes and no. But I think overnight tonight, we will be directly affected by it because that's when the circulation of the hurricane starts to come on through. Let's see. Is it possible for it to move east? Yes, maybe, but I don't think it's going to have that much of a wobble either east or west from what we're forecasting right now. And I don't necessarily know that would play a major impact on us because we're still, if it moved like 300 miles east, then it would be a different story because we would be on a different side of the storm. But at this stage of the game, it's not looking likely. We can hope for the best and prepare for the worst, right? But great question, Madison. Oh, great question. Melissa says, what will this have on the fall foliage? Well, TBD, right? I've been watching that, and with the extreme drought that's been ongoing, leaves are already falling and dying before they're even changing. So if we can get this moisture, the ground and the plants and the trees are just going to soak it up, right? Like a dry sponge. And if we can transition to some nice sunny, cool days, like 70s and sunny, and some nice crisp nights, like 40s and 50s, then I think we could have some good color. But I do think, we'll be curious. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. But that would be my best bet. We need the moisture, but we also need the clear, cool nights and the sunny, pleasant, mild days. That's what makes the most brilliant colors. And the dry ground, the drought that's been ongoing, that's not good for color changes. And, we have millions of people that come to our backyard every single year to go up to the national park to see the fall foliage. But great question, Melissa. I think it's one of those things that we'll just have to kind of sit and watch together and see how it all plays out. Because every year is just a little bit different. But every year you're like, oh, okay, it's going to be muted. And then all of a sudden you look across the pond, if you will. You're like, whoa, where'd those colors come from? Like, it happens like quickly, like overnight sometimes. Let's see. We've got the flood warning that's just been issued for Johnson City. So the flood warnings are ongoing. Let me take you back to the radar while I chat with you on camera. And we'll just do this. Wind advisory has now been issued for Cumberland County. So the East Tennessee weather app. See, that's what I'm talking about. East Tennessee weather right there. Right. It's not going to focus, is it? There it is. Wind advisory for Crossville. So these are the kind of notifications that you will get on your cell phone if you download the East Tennessee weather app. All right, so here's what's going on around town. We'll bring it back to East Tennessee. There's the center of circulation right there at the bottom of your screen. Right, there's a center circulation right there. And again, latest model guidance has it coming right into the Big Bend. But you can see that we are continuing. Now, again, this is not on the tail end of this storm. When I talked about the southeastern part of the storm where we get tornadoes, that's this section right here. All right. So you have the storm here, and it would be this section right here, which typically landfalling storms, you get tornadoes. But with that said, we have a lot of energy on the north side of that system that's moving its way through Panama City, Tallahassee, and there are tornado warnings associated with that. And, of course, flash flood warnings that are ongoing there as well. Now let's come up to East Tennessee. We'll take you right to town, and let's get the Doppler radar on from Morristown. So you can see how this river of moisture is just set up shop. Again, the Cumberland Plateau, Finchers to Morgan, Cumberland to Ray and Meggs, all the way down to Sequatchie, County and Bradley counties have not seen a ton of rain so far. But all this will progress its way westward as the day moves on and during the overnight hours as well. Is it going to be bad? Jeremy Thornton says. I don't think it's going to be great. It's a different story, right? And again, had we not had the incredible amounts of rain that we've had over the last 2 days, and we just had the tropical system moving its way through, it'd be a totally different story. We can withstand the winds and a little bit of rain, right? But the problem is now the ground is saturated. So is it going to be bad? I think in some locations it is going to be bad, from the flooding and the flash flooding that's ongoing. And I'll show you the latest flash flood warnings that were just issued. I'll bring it to the current time. And let me get those on there for you. So we had one just issued. It hasn't populated the computer yet, but we just had a flash flood warning issued. That would be a flash flood warning over into... But again, Johnson City was just issued a flash flood warning. So that should pop up here just above me here in just a moment. No, not much has changed. Just an update. Figured I might as well come on here since I've been in the studio all morning long. Only 3/4 of an inch of rain so far in Sweetwater. But, Dwayne, I think you're probably in for an additional, I would say probably, we'll just go 1 to 3. How about that? 1 to 3 inches for probably Monroe County, McMinn County. Do you think Knox County schools will be closed? If I were a betting man, I would say at least a 2-hour delay. But it just kind of depends on how much more rain falls from now through sunrise. And so I'll be curious to see when they make that call. Hopefully they make it tonight to let everybody know and prepare accordingly, whether one way or another, hey, listen, folks, as of right now, we're going to school, right? So Knox County, if you're watching, even just a quick little text message saying, hey, listen, we're watching it, but as of right now, we're still going to school. I think that would keep people from talking too much and spreading rumors and getting frustrated. Just a quick little simple push notification from Knox County Schools saying, hey, as of right now, we're still going to school tomorrow. Everything's on time, but subject to change. So check back in and give us timestamps, right? Okay, by 6 o'clock tonight, we'll have another update for the school systems. By 10 o'clock tonight, we'll have another update for the school systems. And just walk us through, hold our hands as parents, right? Is that too much to ask? That's what I do as a weatherman. I just hold your hand and walk you through the forecast so you understand what's going on. Anyways, I don't work for the school systems, and I would not want that job by any stretch. So I guess they will do what they will do. All right, when will the winds arrive at Camp Creek? All right, great question, Abigail. So let's go ahead and walk you through that once again. I will take you to the winds. Let me find that in my computer. So Camp Creek is... Let's see here. Let me just get this weather map up here for you. Right now, I was just looking up the latest information from Camp Creek. And let's see, Camp Creek weather information. Stand by. Right now, the winds at Camp Creek. Oh, it's offline. Oh, it's offline. No bueno. Well, Greenville seems to be offline as well. All right. Well, either way, let me just get you to a different weather map, and I'll show you. I don't think I have Greenville in that one. Cott County. We'll just go to this one. So I'm going to go slow here. All right. So let's pick up the timeline. So let's just start it off at 7 o'clock tonight. So Newport, you can see where Newport is in Greenville. So that's about where Camp Creek is, right, Abigail? So you know exactly. You do live right along the foot of the mountain. All right. Well, I would anticipate 80-mile-per-hour winds through the thick of it. But the wind will start to pick up here by 7 o'clock here tonight. And then really start to crank around that area between 7 and midnight. And then as we head through the overnight hours, here comes some of that really strong wind. The strongest wind is expected to arrive after about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, so now we have Greenville. There's 3 o'clock in the morning. Now we got winds gusting to 30 to 40 miles per hour. Head into 4 o'clock in the morning. Now we're probably closer to 40 to 50 miles per hour. And you get into the 5, 6 o'clock hour. And again, the winds are going to be cranking. And then all the way through 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, you can see Greenville, Newport, anywhere from 40 to 50. So probably anywhere between 40 and 60 mile per hour winds gusting through 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the morning. So I would say anytime, the strongest winds are going to be anytime after about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I think the winds will start to increase for your area probably after 7 to midnight tonight. And then I think it's going to be really cranking early tomorrow morning. So Abigail, thanks for joining us, by the way. Hopefully check back in. And if you have the East Tennessee Weather app, I did send a push notification that I was doing a live weather update so folks can stay on top of the weather situation. But again, I will do it again at 6 o'clock here tonight to see how things will change because we're getting more model data in as the day progresses. And then again tomorrow morning for Wake Up with the Witcher starting off at 7 o'clock in the morning, although we may be doing Wake Up with the Witcher even earlier based on what is going to be going on around the area. But as of right now, Wake Up with the Witcher, a live weather update will be happening at 7 a.m. because I update all the platforms for East Tennessee weather by 6 a.m. At the very latest. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll be fine because he's going to be coming in from Nashville. May get tossed around a little bit as he gets closer to town, but I think if he gets in, tell him the earlier he gets into East Tennessee back home, the better he'll be. But it is going to be quite a bit of rainfall. Let's see. The leaves are already falling in Paulette. This is true. The wind does blow at Camp Creek a lot more than other locations. And it's always Camp Creek, Mount LeConte, Klingman's Dome. Those are the areas that we measure some of these excessive wind speeds of 80 plus miles per hour. So you are talking about the possibility of tropical storm to even hurricane strength wind gusts. That's what we're talking about across the highest peaks of the Smokies, 70 to 80 miles per hour. All right, my friends. I sure hope you have a great day. We are going to wrap things up, and we're going to end things here at this lunch hour again. It's 12:43, by the way. Don't forget to download the East Tennessee Weather app. It is your one-stop shop to stay on top of the latest weather forecast all day, every day. It's 100% free because weather should be free. Remember, East Tennessee Weather's not just an app, but I'm on the website as well, easttnweather.com, so you can check that out. I'm also on Roku TV. You can have the Roku TV with a 24-hour channel broadcasting right there from your living room or your office to let your coworkers know exactly what's going on. I'm on Amazon Fire, Roku TV, and also on YouTube. Go smash and subscribe to that YouTube button. If you are a YouTuber or you happen to be on YouTube ever, smash that subscribe button on YouTube. It really helps the platform out as we continue to grow every single day. Thank you very much for tuning in here this afternoon. Thanks for trusting me. I will send you back to the 24-hour weather channel. I'm going to start you off with the satellite and radar because I have not had a chance to update because I'm here broadcasting with you right now. So I'll get the updates going on the 24-hour weather channel here momentarily. But in the meantime, we sure hope you have a great day. Be safe, be kind to each other. As I always say, life is short. We'll have more sunshine over the weekend as well. So make sure you track all